Welcome back, everyone. This is literally the first podcast recording I'm doing in my new place since moving in about a week ago, and I've got one of the people that I've connected with 10 years ago that got me kind of started in this industry, and we were just kind of reminiscing on how things have changed in the last 10 years, and if you're online at all, he definitely doesn't need any introduction. You know who he is, Mr. Shaqir Hussyin from London, UK. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. We were just reminiscing before we started rolling here how it's like, man, 10 years we've been in this game. And, you're definitely, an OG and a big public figure here. And you're over in London, and kind of the backpacking millionaire is your brand with the book that you launched and everything a while back.
Yeah.
And we both love to travel, right? But we're just talking about how great it is to be home and close to family.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited to basically be here. I've actually absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about, except, I remember 10 years ago coming across your website. It was hosted on, I think it was hosted on Blogspot, and you had all these pictures of you traveling around. And there was you and there was this other girl from Vancouver, Alex Catoni was her name. I remember like coming across these two people. I don't know how I saw both of you guys, but it was Quinton, Carlin, and this girl called Alex, and you guys seem to be traveling or wanting to travel or something. And I just remember thinking, what kind of world do these people live in? And you used to, excuse me saying this, but you used to be sleeping on other people's couches or something, right?
When I was traveling, yeah, I mean, like I was just like a surfer, man. Like I would just go on these surf trips and just like meet up with other surfers down in either California or Mexico, or backpacked around Europe and stuff. Like in 2008, after I was in the industry about a year, I went and just took my business to Europe for 3 months. And like that was kind of before a lot of people were doing that. Like a lot of people were like working from home, but not so much like traveling and running their business and stuff. So I was like really young. I remember we were both like in our 20s and just figuring stuff out. And
I remember seeing your stuff and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how does this guy travel so much? There was like probably less than 5 people that was living this traveling lifestyle. And I just remember thinking, damn, this guy looks like he's doing some cool stuff. I mean, and it's crazy, 10 years.
Yeah, man. And I remember the first time I came across your video, and I think it was with Carbon Copy Pro, and you had like the long hair and a suit and a cool accent. I'm like, man, this guy's like just like Rico Suave over here. And then obviously you just like blew up from there, and it's been really inspiring following your journey and just seeing all the incredible success and different ventures you've been in, and just really making a massive impact and providing a lot of value for people. Not only getting started online, but like a lot of the top gurus are coming to you. You're the guru of gurus, as one could say. So yeah, man, we've been on quite a journey here together, and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
So you're just saying something pretty profound before we started rolling. And that's why I wanted to start. You said, after kind of probably checking all the bucket lists that you have, buying all the toys, living in the penthouses and stuff, you just said something that's like really, I think, grounding, that you said, after doing all this stuff, you've kind of realized that the most important thing is kind of being close to family and connecting with your loved ones, and kind of keeping it simple, right? And just kind of focusing on what's really important.
Yeah, I was just, because I was showing you this place, this is my penthouse here in London. And I've been living in this area for around, I think 5 or 6 years now. But probably the first few years that I had this place, I was just traveling, and I was just like traveling, chasing country after country, all over Asia. And obviously I go into the events business, and we did like over 100 events in the span of like 3 years.
Wow.
And these would be like non-stop 3-day summits, Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, all over Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal. So we were just hitting basically as many events as we could. And I had this really fun model with this amazing team, and I had like grown the business. I had grown all this, and I was traveling a lot until, until a few things happened where my grandma passed away.
Sorry.
And that was one. I got married, which was really good, and that led me to like kind of finding my, getting closer to my religion and learning more about my religion and all of these things. And then I was like, okay, I need to like calm down a little bit. And so a few other things happened. You know, someone that I really looked up to, a friend, a mentor, he had suicided. So all of these things kind of just like took me back, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with all of this? Like, what am I doing with all the money? What am I doing with? Why am I even doing it? You know what I mean? Because like when I was 26, you know, you probably know I had like some would call early success.
Yeah.
So you know, when I was like 26, I had generated my first $10 million in sales. So after that, I was like I was good. Basically, I was good. You know what I mean? I was like, I was good. But then, you know, 26, 27, 28, 29, those 3-4 years, I was just like on a mad chase. And that's when I started learning about, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it for myself, or is it because I'm comparing myself to my friend, you know, who's making $100 million a year, and I feel inferior to him, or you know, this other company and they've grown to $1 billion in like 10 years and I haven't done it. And so, you know, I'm sacrificing my friends, my family, my health, everything to go and chase, and then chase for what, you know? And so it really got me really thinking a lot anyway. And so the reason why I was saying this before this call was the reason why I like living in London now is because 50 minutes away is my parents' house. So I get to drive. And right now it's actually Ramadan. So I'm fasting. But I'm literally driving there every single day to go break fast with them, eat with them, and then come back here. So it's been wonderful. It's been a big journey. And there's part of me that just feels like I'm just getting started.
Well, first of all, yeah, I want to acknowledge you because fasting, and how long is that period for? It's like 40 days, is that right? Or a month?
30 days.
30 days.
It's 30 days, then an optional 6 days you can fast. It's like at 3 a.m. you have your last drop of water, and then it's sometimes referred to as dry fasting. So no food, no drink, no water, no food, no nothing until like from 3 a.m. till around 8:30 p.m. So good, probably 15, 16 hours.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. And here you are, you know, still banging out work and, you know, not but
doing the podcast.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, man, because after traveling so much and living abroad for so long, and then just recently like relocating back home to Canada, and just having the last, you know, 2 months since I've been back with my parents, you know, like every day, connecting with them, and you do really feel like what's really important, you know, and you kind of prioritize things. And for me, I was pretty selfish like back in the day. I just wanted like freedom, you know, like my whole thing was freedom. It was just like, I just want to be able to go wherever and do whatever, whenever. Like for me, it was just all about like that adventure and experience. And I guess I got that out of my system, and now I'm like ready to like kind of scale back a bit and you know, definitely realize. And I think like this whole coronavirus has made people kind of really check in with themselves and realize what is important, what do I really want, who am I, what are my values, and so on. So it's given people time. I think that they haven't really had time in the past to just kind of really contemplate and figure out what they want and what's important. So that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, 100%.
But the one thing that's really impressed me about you is just how consistent you are. Like, you know, your emails daily, just like, I don't know if it's you doing it or your team, but I've just seen you just consistently there. Like you're just always there with the events that you said all around the world. Like what drives you and how did you maintain that? Because that's like, I know you're young, but like, that's kind of like, it's a lot of energy traveling, not even managing events and staff and everything like that. So like, where did this really kind of like almost obsession come from?
Yeah, man, I see it because see, now I'm married, right? And I see how my wife performs, acts, behaves, you know, in her own way. And then sometimes she'll be like yesterday, she's fasting as well, right? And she just said to me, she has mush brain. And I was like, what is that? She's like, she's exhausted. And I'm like, really? And I got this big smile, and I said, yeah, me too. And she's like, how do you say it with such a big smile? I'm like, because, you know, I gotta just do it. You know, one of the things I always told myself, like, no matter what happens, you know, the show must always go on. And the show is not for anyone else, but for myself, right? Because I have certain different responsibilities. You know, I got employees, I got all of this. And say, for example, my wife, she has like 2 team members, which, you know, they're kind of like freelancers. One works for me, one works, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, like if I'm not performing, then that guy, he's got wife, he's got kids,
Right.
You know what I mean? So my responsibilities are very different. And I think the obsession is one. Second, it's also knowing that you have a responsibility, because that responsibility then carries on to your clients. And obviously, I have high ticket clients, and these are clients, they spend a lot of money, because I tend to charge a lot of money for my services. And so when someone comes in, they are also expecting, they want a specific quality of delivery of product, of services, right? And so those things drive me. In terms of like longevity, why is it that for 10 years I've just been going at it? I think I genuinely love what I do, man. If you work, there's a part of work just fuels me. I just wanna, and it's just like, how can I beat my previous self? How can I, if I've done this last year, how can I do this year? It's just like I'm trying to tap as much potential as I can. I think that's important for me. Plus, like nothing lasts forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Nothing lasts forever. So the bad times don't last forever. The good times don't last forever as well. When I was 28, I had scaled that events business to $1 million a month. I had like 55 staff. I had like 55 staff. I had a huge net profits. I was taking home a lot of money. And then I realized, okay, you know what? I'm like getting so fat, and I'm like not praying on time, or I'm not being a good Muslim that I should be focused on. That's like my real purpose in life. And so I had to like figure out, okay, you know what? I need to kind of allocate time here, allocate time there. And man, like I don't even know. There's just like a part of me. It's funny actually. I do know. My wife says to me sometimes, you often operate from fear. She's very scarce, abundance focused, and for me, there's a part of me that just like I just never want to be poor, because I grew up poor.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 bedrooms, 13 people living there, and so it was like really cramped in East London. My parents told me, go to school, college, university, go and get a degree, go and get a job, literally in one of those buildings there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see those.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, the tall buildings, that's like the financial district.
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that I don't know if it's still running me, that fear of like, I don't want to be poor. You know what I mean? I built myself up, and I just don't want to ever be poor, because I just like, that would be a very bad thing. But then, I also realized, okay, I shouldn't let that fear drive me, because I don't think it's always healthy if you're driven by fear versus driven by abundance of what's greater. So those are a few thoughts, but yeah, man. This is another thing as well. I realize most people don't last for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? And they will have success for 1 or 2 years, or maybe 3 years if they're lucky, but they won't maintain it for more than 5 years. And it's very, very few people that can last for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that when I was like 21 years old, I think from Michael Gerber, when he talked about like 95% of all businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years. And then those businesses that succeed, they also fail. And so I always kept that in my head. And I also don't have any certain habits, so I don't go partying, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't go clubbing, I don't do any of those things. Right. So I've managed to kind of stay away from a few things that takes a lot of people down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're very, the word I would describe you is just focus. Like you've just really got this, like, you dial into it. And I remember going through some of your trainings, and you were like the solo ad guy for a company called Empower. I remember like going through your PowerPoint, and you had like by far the best lesson in that whole, curriculum. And I was just like, man, this guy just takes his work very seriously. Like you can just tell that you put in the time, and you are not distracted by all the other bells and whistles. That you just get the job done. And yeah, that's what it takes, because there's a lot of people that come in and then they go out, come in and go out. And that's been one of my challenges, is just staying like committed and focused, because I'm somebody that does enjoy adventure and experiences, and it's easy to kind of lose focus and track of what's really getting the job done. So that's been really inspiring to me, just to see you much younger and being able to dial that in.
Don't get me wrong. I also have bad tendencies where I get distracted. I procrastinate. I don't know if the word is lazy, but I also like shiny objects. I like Bitcoin one day. I like another coin one day. You know what I mean? I have those things as well, but I also have to rein it in. You know what I mean? I have to rein it in.
So as far as all the different things you've done, like what do you find is the most enjoyable thing? Like, would you say you're more of like a marketing guy, more of like an investor, more of a speaker, author? Like what's really kind of the main hat you enjoy wearing?
Because I've done all of those, right? Like I started off with the
that's what I mean. I see you in all these different pockets and I'm like, man. Yeah.
So I started off with affiliate marketing, then I did agency. Affiliate marketing is 7 figures, agency is 7 figures, and then did info products, 7, 8 figures, then did events, 8 figures. And so all of those, and now I'm just like, okay. And then whilst I was doing that, I was telling you, right? Like when I was 26, I started also becoming an investor with no experience about investing. So I learned some really harsh lessons there because I blew like over $1 million cash on really stupid projects, IPOs, and don't even ask, dude. Like every single startup, I was basically, this young rich kid, for lack of a better term, and I was just like, anyone that wanted money, I'd wire them 25 grand, 100 grand, 500 grand, and I spent I think over $1 million. So I lost that. That was kind of a big lesson. And so now, although I do see myself as an investor, I don't really go out trying to look for deals per se. It's only when something is really filtered down or really qualified down through people that I trust, then I'll take an interest. Otherwise, I'm really not interested in anything. I'm interested in just my own thing.
Yeah.
Looking back at the last 10 years, what is easily the best business model I should have started, and my mentors did tell me that, and I didn't, was software, hands down. Like software, nothing could be a long-term, long-valuable software. It's like 10 years ago, I started, when I was used to promote Carbon Copy Pro, I used this software called Woofu, which is owned by SurveyMonkey, right? And that's no one knows this. Many people don't know this, but that's actually a $1 billion company.
Wow.
And all it does is it lets you take surveys of people to do strategy sessions. It's like the most simplest thing. Or like you see these companies schedule once and Calendly. Like these are very simple concepts. Like even Zoom, it's a very simple concept. Like video, right? It's like Skype video existed way before Zoom. And so I do think about that a lot in terms of like what business models. As far as like my business model right now, the events, obviously we've taken a break because of what's going on. So my main thing is just based around sales funnels. So two brands, wealthacademy.com and then salesfunnels.com. And with sales funnels right now, we have a high-end program, which is around $12,500. We show people how to build a sales funnel that converts cold traffic so that they don't rely on referral marketing, organic marketing, helps them scale up to 6, 7, and then 8 figures. And then on the back end of that, I have Inner Circle program, which is like my virtual mastermind. Those are the couple of programs. As far as what I'm working on right now, it's I'm working on basically creating the first ever platform/certification for sales funnels. So it's going to be around the concept of sales funnels because I own salesfunnels.com and funnels.com.
I saw that in your email signature. I'm like, man, he's got funnels.com. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah. I bought those about 4 years ago. We spent close to around 6 figures, under 6 figures acquiring those domains. And I got them because I knew I wanted to do something in that field. And obviously I saw my friend, Mr. Russell Brunson grew it really big with ClickFunnels. Yeah. And so the market is huge for something like that. And I always, when I look for a business, I'm always looking for how can I do something where it's easy for me to go on the upstream rather than fighting in a red ocean, right? Like if I was talking to you, I don't need to explain to you too much what a sales funnel is. And a business owner, an entrepreneur would see and understand the concept of a sales funnel because someone else has popularized it in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm looking to start a business or to invest in something, I'm always looking for how do I get an unfair advantage that no one else has.
Mm-hmm.
And that also always puts me in a unique position and helps me create it like a blue ocean. So then I don't have to compete.
Right.
One of the reasons I think why I've been somewhat, some people would say successful, first I believe everything comes from God. So
Yeah.
after that, I would say is because I always look for something that's going to give me an unfair advantage over everyone else. I'm not looking to compete. So I don't launch the same programs as everyone else because I'm like trying to figure out how do I create something where I'm the only person. And that's what I've done with, back then when you were introduced to my work, Impact Network Carbon Copy Pro Solo Ads Agency, right? So I built this agency, I positioned it as the agency for home business owners, boom. That went on to do multiple millions, helped me become financially free in my early 20s. And then after that, I launched Guru Funnels, which was one of my biggest offers, which was I realized that people want to become a top earner in the market space, but they don't understand how to. And the secret was building authority, credibility around your name, and that the only people that really make money online are gurus, however you want to position it, thought leaders, experts, whatever. And then I came up with that concept of what if we could give you a done for you sales funnel and that offer did really, really well. That offer killed it.
So let me ask you, when you have something that's killing it, why or when do you leave it to go do something else? Because that's what I mean. Like I've seen you just come in and crush, and then I see you crushing something else. Like I just see you like doing this, and it's going so well, and then I see you then launching this, and then it goes even better. So what's kind of your formula of like tapping in and tapping out?
Yeah, so like I always look at it as from an investment perspective, right? If I'm going to put my time, energy, effort into something, like what's the ROI? So I know like I don't really get the biggest bang of the buck if I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Like I don't even have the social media apps on my phone because I'm just like I got to focus on one or two things, maybe three things. And the way I come up, the formula that I have in my head is whatever I do, if I'm going to spend 100 grand, $1 million, then I should make 5 to 10x. Otherwise, I'm going after a red market where it's very competitive, and so I'm going to stay away from it. If I can't do that, then I won't. And how would I test it out? I would do a webinar. Obviously, I have a big list of subscribers. I email them every single day. I've been emailing every single day for like 8 years, build that subscriber list to more than 600,000 subscribers. So I have a good number of responses I can get from any single offer that I put out. Right. Now, what I usually do is I have a Facebook group. It's got around 17, 18,000 members. I either post there or I email my list and I go and see what the market is responding to. It's not necessarily what I want or what I'm passionate about, right? Because like if I was really, to be very frank, I would love to just have like, $100 million in the bank and then spend all my time, figuring out how to go to space or, creating the next Bitcoin or something stupid and crazy like that, which, I don't know how viable those things are, but whatever. I do believe in those things. The point I'm making is if I'm going to do something, then it has to have a good 3 to 5 year span, right? Like I learned this from a couple of people, but one of the first mentors I remember learning, and he said, like stuff changes so fast. Don't think, 10, 25 years. You can think 10, 25 years of who you should become. Mm-hmm. But in terms of your business, think maybe 1 to 3 years, maybe 5. And so I keep that in mind. So when I launch a business, it's always the business has to feed off a pain in the marketplace, right? So, I told my wife this just a few days ago. I said, how much it hurts my ego that I have to take a pause on wealthacademy.com because like, dude, I spent like more than $10 million of my own money building that brand, doing events, all of that. Okay, so it's a lot of money. Like it's not like a few hundred grand. It's not like, and it's not like bank's money or investors' money. This is like my own money. So I've poured into that. I built a whole infrastructure to do events, to scale events, all of these things. And now I'm taking a pause on it. And there was so much inner friction until I said to myself, okay, what's the market one? And I was like, okay, because if I said to my wife, you know what, I'm Wealth Academy and this is my thing, and I want to do events. It's me,
Yeah.
and that's where most people go wrong, is they're trying to build this business around them. And so I was like, okay, let me go through my filter. What's my filter? What's the market's paying? Okay, put Wealth Academy aside. What do I have right now? I have all these relationships I've built over the last 10 years. Pretty much know a lot of people in the industry that I can tap into. Mentors, friends, customers, JVs, all of that stuff. Not that I do a lot of JVs because I really rely on my own paid traffic. Then I was like, okay, what assets do I have? I took an inventory of the assets I have. I have really great domains and really great brands, an agency, 6-7 figure agency. I have these courses. Then I was like, okay, what's going to help me get to an extra, say $10 million or beyond? And then I was like, okay, it's going to be sales funnels.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so what do I do? Do I build a software? No, because then my competition is Russell Brunson, who's doing 100 million a year, and it's very dumb to go after someone. If you're not making, if you're not doing any, if you don't have a team like that, then it's very dumb for people to compete. And so you see people say, oh yeah, I'm building the next ClickFunnels killer and stuff. It's like, okay, whatever. And so if I'm not going to build a software just yet, what would I build? Okay, what's the pain in that marketplace? Everyone and their mom knows what a sales funnel is, right? What's the biggest problem? You don't know who to trust. There's people that will build you a sales funnel for $500, and then there's some people that will charge you 50 grand. I literally had a friend of mine called Jeremy, who I've known for the last probably 8 to 10 years. And he just told me, he said he spent about 300 grand on a company that built all these sales funnels and all of this. And at the end, like, he was disappointed. They basically ran off with all the leads. And I'm like, wow, like that's a pain. You understand? Like, that's a pain that a successful person has, that also maybe a poor person, I shouldn't say use the word poor, but someone who's like a struggling business owner would also have. You understand? Like so they don't know, should they spend $500 on a sales funnel, or 5 grand, or 50 grand, or 500 grand? And then who do you trust? And I'm like, okay, I'm basically giving you, my business plan right now. So of my new business that I'm launching next month. Actually, it's end of this month. June the 1st, it's launching. So I was like, okay, how would I create a platform that certifies legitimate people? Okay, I would create an offer. I would train them up myself. I'd let them leverage off my credibility as the only multiple 8-figure ClickFunnels award winner under 30, all of that jazz. So then there's some sex appeal to the offer, because that's what people want. They want something new, exciting. And then and then I could certify them as they are from salesfunnels.com.
Right. Wow.
And it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, hey, you pay me a fee, I'll train you, and then I'll certify you. And then you can tell everyone that you're certified from the only salesfunnels.com company. And you pay me a yearly fee, and you get to keep your license. And every time I come up with new funnels and new ideas, you get to leverage. And now you can go around and you can charge people 5 grand, 10 grand, 25K for doing sales funnels for them. And if you don't know how to do that, don't worry. I'll train you, I'll teach you, I'll give you the tools, templates, resources. And that's going to be my next $10 million offer.
Interesting, man. That's a great sneak peek, and I think it's a really good one to fill that void in the marketplace, because there's a lot of people that do know that they need a funnel but aren't really tech savvy or have like the expertise to actually put it together, and so on. So I think that well, obviously you put a lot of thought and resources into it, so it's it'll be your next big hit, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, whatever. But I'll move on to something else. But the important lesson which I was trying to kind of share is, like, it's what the market wants.
Yeah.
When you go into a Facebook group, or you go and check like Instagram and whatever, like, or you go and read Amazon reviews of top best-selling books, and you go and read the comments, and you can see, oh, this is where the frustration lies.
Right.
This is where it lies for, you know what I mean? And so based on that frustration, then you go and launch it. And so then that's my whole plan, or not my plan, that's my formula of how I find markets and products to go and launch. And then what I would do is I would go and take a beta test, and I would go and get my first 5 or 10 customers, and charge them a really high fee so I can work with them one-on-one. And I just did that. Like I just did that right now. So I know people vibe with the message, they're willing to pay for it. So I'm like, okay, if 10 people give me 10 grand each, that's 100 grand. Okay, that will justify my time for me to spend some time, teaching them, training them. Okay, cool. Let me do that. I'm actually doing that right now. So then as soon as that's over, I'm going to condense it down into a $2,000 or $10,000 course. And that's how I'm going to scale it up.
Boom. Smart, man. Smart.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I know that we scheduled about 45 minutes for this, and we're kind of coming up to the end of this, but I wanted to kind of touch base on what you think's going to be happening with the economy on the other side of all this. Like, I know that you a big, investor or follow the markets. What do you kind of see happening globally after all this?
I just checked my time, dude. I have 20 more minutes. So I don't know if.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. I just saw originally it was 55.
We got 25 minutes.
Okay,
we're
cool.
good. And so, one, like I would not know much about financial markets to advise anyone. Just for what I'm doing,
right.
I was very fortunate. When I was 2009, when I was signing off with this company called Wealth Masters International, they taught me about the whole economy. They taught me about gold, silver, diversification, investing in different asset classes, protecting your money. And so, I developed some good habits. Those good habits were like getting into precious metals. So I like precious metals. I like some crypto. I like some real estate. Most important business model that I like is my own business. Like nothing gives me a better ROI than my own business.
Right.
And the way I hedge even against my own business is making sure that I'm always skill stacking. I always have a stack of skills. I'm always refining my copywriting, my presentation, my webinars, my email copy, my sales letters, my network of influence and mentors and friends that I can always tap into, that I'm always maintaining good relationships with people. Some of them have been for 10 years. I mean, look at you, you and I've known of you and kind of, connected with you 10 years ago. So just maintaining good relationships, because when the market does crash, and obviously it does crash every 10, 15 years or whatever, what you're going to rely on is, essentially like your skills, your business, those things. I look at investments as a really long-term thing, 5, 10, 20, 30 years thing, versus like right now, immediate, I focus on my own business.
Yeah.
And I have a very simple rule when it comes to that, which is like invest in your own business, in your own brand. When you're starting out, it's nice to get a 2x ROI, 3x ROI. But when you kind of build a brand and stuff, then you can set different parameters for yourself. Like for example, when I hire people, they know if I'm spending $1,000 on ads, I want to be making at least 5x back. If not, then Facebook ads is bad. YouTube ads, my own campaigns are not good. We'll move to YouTube ads or something like that. So that's kind of the thinking pattern I have. I have a good friend called Mike Dillard. I can introduce you to him. You should interview him on your podcast.
Yeah, Mike's like the OG. I remember reading his book back in the day called Magnetic Sponsoring.
Yeah.
And I printed it off, and that's when I was working at it, like running a surf camp in Tofino on Vancouver Island. And the next month after I read that, I had like my first $20,000 month. And I was like, it was just like a light bulb, because it was just like, boom, it's about attraction marketing and not selling the drill, but selling the whole, like I can't remember how he worded it in that book, but people don't want a drill, they want a hole, I think is what he said. And that was just like one of the most profound lines that I ever read. And I've been following Mike for like decades and have gone back and forth with him a number of times. And I really love his podcast too, because he's got some really great people on board. And as far as business building and the financial market, he's pretty dialed in with everything he puts out. So
I just had him on my podcast, and I asked him about what is he investing in and stuff. And his main thing is just his own business, his own personal brand. That's why I even moved like some of his big brands, self-made man and stuff, just to point to Mike Dillard. So I do think like investing in your own personal brand is going to have a huge ROI. The only downside to a personal brand is not it's not really a saleable asset.
Right.
So again, everyone is different, right? Like for me, for 10 years, I was like, okay, personal brand is important, and then I'm like, no one's gonna buy my personal brand. Plus, some people like I guess someone like a Gary Vee, they're fine because that's what they want to do for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
But for me, dude, like I have different, I want to go and spend my time in like spiritual in mosques and spiritual centers and be away from the world in some sort. I just came back from South Africa. Before this whole COVID stuff, I was in South Africa for a week. I was in America, all over America for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. But when I was in South Africa, like it was literally in the middle of a huge jungle, away from the city. It wasn't a jungle, but it felt like a jungle. And it was just like me, my wife, my brother, and it was just filled with like really spiritual, holy people. And so, if I sometimes tell myself, I have all the money in the world, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So anyway, based on that, it's like, I don't need to build a personal brand for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm good if I do something for the next 3 to 5, maybe 10 years, and I can take off whenever I want. So that's also very important as well. Sometimes you see all these guys, and they're flashing cars and women and all of this stuff. And what works for them might not necessarily work for you, and you might not necessarily want that. So it's very important that you look at it and you think to yourself, oh, what do I want to actually be doing?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm kind of going through a transition right now, coming back from living abroad for almost, a decade, and just asking a lot of those questions, like what do I want to be doing here moving forward, and having, short, medium, long-term goals, and just kind of really figuring out, because like I'm a pretty minimalistic person. Like, yeah, I just like being by the beach. I love the ocean. I've done multiple, have you ever done Vipassana, the 10-day silent meditation?
No, I haven't.
No. Yeah. It's pretty like talking about like interesting experiences, man. Like 10 days silence, no phone, no books, no eye contact, no touching. Like it's just like 10 days of just you being with you. And I did that a number of times in Asia. And like, I'm like you, man, I could go in one of those temples and just like chill for a while, and for me, just like, I could see myself just going to an island in Bali at some point and just like having a little villa and a surfboard and just a scooter, and I'm set, like
yeah,
I don't.
Yeah. Sometimes I do think that's, I have a lot of things here.
Yeah.
But I would probably also feel happy, or maybe even happier, without like a lot of this stuff, you know what I mean? Because it's just stuff, right? Like the more stuff that you have. I was in Saudi Arabia last year, and Saudi Arabia is basically, there's a for Muslims, you go and do pilgrimage there, and there's like 3, 4, 5 million people. If you think like something like Burning Man has got 50,000 people, this is like 5 million people. You understand? Like, and all 5 million people are praying 5 times a day at the same time.
I saw you posted that on Instagram a while back, I think, or on Facebook. I remember seeing you somewhere like that, where there's just a blanket of people, spread out. Yeah, I remember that visual. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's so. And it's when you're there, it's like the guy next to you could be a billionaire, but the whole one of the purposes of that is like you're standing in front of God. This is God's house, basically. It's not like we believe God lives there, but it's a symbol, right? And so the guy next to you could be a billionaire, but who cares? Because he's also wearing 2 towels and a pair of sandals, and that's when you realize, man, like for me anyway, I was like, okay, I'm not special. I don't have special powers. I'm not, God's favorite. I'm not that smart. Like, you know what I mean? Because you realize, oh, you're all the same.
Right.
And that's how God looks at you. It's like you're all the same. There's 5 million people, tall, black, white, different. Like you literally meet people from every single place. Because it's just so many people. Yeah. And sometimes you would go down to the mosque, they call it haram, and you would go and pray there. And when you look
all you see is just endless people. There's no end. It's just like endless. Oh, that's so I wouldn't mind living there for a while.
Have you been to Jerusalem?
No, I haven't. I haven't yet.
Man.
I was planning to go last December.
It's
Yeah.
out of everywhere I've been, man, it's the only place where you just feel the spirit, because you've got the four main religions that were kind of birthed from it. You know what I mean? Like just walking through the streets of Jerusalem and then seeing like Mecca and then like the Wailing Wall and like, the Church of the Nativity, like you're just like in the middle of it. And for someone like yourself and myself, like I'm a strong believer. And I'm open to everything. Like my first TED talk was talking about my experience in Jerusalem, like basically how all the four cultures and religions, I saw that everyone's the same, like just because we have these different spiritual practices, but at the end of the day, we're all just trying to live the best that we can for our family and our higher power. And in Jerusalem, man, it's like out of everywhere I've been, it was just this vibe that you just feel so connected, like, and just, it's too bad because that's like also like one of the most dangerous war-torn cities in like history. But when I was there, I just felt like this just real, just like a spiritual connection there. And it's just different from everywhere else I've been. But yeah, I'd highly recommend it for someone like yourself. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Okay, I'm gonna make it up. There is one thing that I wanted to touch on because I think I did forget to say. When you asked, what is it that keeps you driving? So, many years ago, like good probably 7-8 years ago, when I first started making money. Actually, I went to my first Tony Robbins conference when I was really broke. I was in debt, and then I said to myself, I'm gonna be a millionaire the next year, and I freaking made $1 million the next year. Okay. I'm not saying it was all down to him, but I'm saying I went there. And then I went and bought all of his courses, whatever he was selling. Okay. He sells a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a $10,000 conference that I had attended. And I was still new to business, although I had made $1 million in commissions. What had happened was him or Keith Cunningham or Jay Ram. It was one of the three that got on stage and they basically answered a similar question like the one that you said. And they said, don't fall in love with your products and services. Fall in love with the people in your market. And that, I remember like those 5 days where he makes you dance, and it's a business conference where he makes you like dance and all of this stuff, and it's crazy. I don't really remember much apart from like meeting Keith Cunningham, finding out that he's the real rich dad of the rich dad, poor dad, and learning that fall in love with the market that you're serving and not your own products and services.
Right.
So I think that has helped me a lot because I genuinely actually care about the people that come into my market, that come into my funnels and all of this, more so than, I'm so attached to this product and service that I have.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because I was listening to a podcast about real estate yesterday, and they said, a lot of people get into real estate for the commissions and the money and stuff like that, but those people never make it. The people that make it are the ones that actually truly want to serve and help their clients. And like that, there's just like a real aura or vibe, or, people can pick up on if you're really being genuine. And I don't think people can last 10 years that aren't, like yourself. I wanted to kind of touch on like your DMO, your daily methods of operation, kind of before we wrap up. Like, what does kind of like a typical day look like for yourself, like work-wise?
The one that I'm going to give you right now won't make sense to most people because most people aren't going to be fasting. So like right now, I sleep at 4 or 5 a.m. I wake up. It's just really crazy. I work like 4 or 5 hours because I don't want to burn myself out because from around 6, 7 p.m. I'm like in prayer mode, so to speak. So. But on a day-to-day basis, I actually have it written out. It keeps me on track. I always plan my day before. When I wake up, I try to spend at least an hour to 3 hours doing stuff for myself. So no phone, either it's reading, writing, journaling, just producing. Like I want to go straight into production mode instead of reactive mode. I don't check phone. Or if I do check phone, I make sure that the next day the phone is out of sight, out of mind. So if I find myself, drifting off, like this past week, I found myself drifting off with, the coronavirus conspiracy theories. There's a part of me that just loves it. And
we've all been there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this doctor, I've been following him for 10 years, and now he's coming out, and now the whole world is gonna know of him. He's the greatest guy, and I'm telling all my friends and family, I'm like, didn't I tell you about him 10 years ago? Especially the Dr. Rashid Buttar. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah, so I remember coming across Dr. Rashid Buttar 10 years ago, dude,
Wow.
and he really helped me because I used to have something called amalgam fillings, metal fillings on here. And, I would have this bad memory loss and stuff. So when I tried so many different things, and then I came across this video, and then I found out that I had mercury poisoning. And so I basically took that thing out. I detoxed myself. I told the whole world as much as I could, guys, you need to go and follow Dr. Buttar. So that was one. And then second, I had a friend who she had cancer, and I'm not giving any cancer advice here, but I'm just saying, he has got a track record of helping people with cancer, basically. I ain't gonna say nothing else. If you're interested, go learn about it. Anyway, I've seen his odd email and that, and then it's been more 4 or 5 years, and then boom, he pops out with this whole coronavirus, and I'm like, Dr. Rashid, that's my man, and so anyway, but I found myself being sucked into all of that, you know what I mean? And I shouldn't be spending or wasting any time, especially during this month of Ramadan. And so I just deleted all my social media apps. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Okay, maybe after Ramadan, maybe if it's in my head. So I anticipate and I look for things that will take me off my course. And then I have a very simple day-to-day thing, man, which is email my list every single day with valuable things and something to buy, so that I have daily new cash flow coming into my life, which keeps any stresses and all of these things away, keeps my team busy with applications and leads. That doesn't happen every single day, but I'm just giving you an idea. 3 hours on marketing and 3 hours on product development. Those are the only 2 highest leverage things. I try to log into social media once a day or twice a day, usually in the evenings. So today, I don't think I've logged into Facebook. It's already 6 p.m. Or Instagram or any of those, because I look at them as a $10 to $50 per hour activity. I'm trying to focus on the things that are $1,000 to $10,000 per hour activities. And those are stuff like strategy, planning, writing a book, coaching my clients, planning events, live events, planning new products, something I call NIMC, which stands for New Innovative Marketing Campaign. So I'm always looking for the new innovative marketing campaign that I can do in my business, right? Something that's always going to keep me excited, but it doesn't need to be right now. It just needs to be out there. So, I'll give you a couple of them because it's on my whiteboard. I have one which is a 100-day, 5-day challenge, which I'm going to launch end of this month. Then I have one that's a 100-day challenge, a viral video campaign. What else do they say? I can't even read my own writing. Something else. But basically, I always look for something that I can do in 3 to 6 or 12 months that will get me excited.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like publishing a new book or something that will really fire me up, but it's not now. And it could also be one of those things that has a huge, it's a tiny hinge that swings a big door.
Right.
And so how does my day work? An hour in the morning with my wife, 3 hours marketing, 3 hours product development, team call for a half an hour-ish. And then I write, and then I'll get reactive and I'll do whatever else needs to be done.
There we go, man. That's amazing. And my last question, is it actually you writing the emails every day to your list?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible, man.
I think in 8 years, dude, when I was in Saudi Arabia, because I was there for a month, that 1 month I had someone do it. And there's just something, he didn't make much sales. I don't know. It's just I also think it's like a energy. You get this, right? It's like the energy that you put out. So I think if you trying to, it's a very high leverage activity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Emailing your list with thousands of people reading it every single day. And when you try to kind of take a little shortcut and that person doesn't have your voice or your energy or I don't swear, right? Like, so I don't use foul language. And he'd use words like, you know, hell and crap. And I was like, it was basically, it didn't vibe. You know what I mean? So I learned my lesson. I don't think I'd ever outsource it. Yeah, I don't think I'd outsource it anymore.
Yeah, no, the reason I asked is, like I said, I've never seen somebody so consistently just mailing as you, and just like,
I'll give you a really valuable thing, right? Like this whole Corona COVID thing has picked up my business so much. I mean, I just had like a record breaking week last week.
Wow.
And I'm like super chuffed. And so I went back to see, okay, you know, where did these high ticket clients come from? One guy literally says to me, he met me at an Empower Network event. And over the last 8 years, he's literally read thousands of my emails.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, did it take you that long to buy? I'm like, you know, and he speaks 10 languages, and he's been a diplomat for like 30 years. He works for the high courts in Chicago. And it was just like, wow, like these are really interesting people. And then I had like all these other people that just came out of the woodwork, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, one guy who's like, you know, wanting to buy one of these really expensive programs I have, and he's like, oh, 2 or 3 years ago, he met me in Hong Kong. And I can't remember him, you know, because he was an event attendee. And he's like, and my wife's been telling me that she's learning about sales France. And I said to her, I know the guy, Shaqir Hussyin. And I'm like, it did, like in my head, I'm thinking it took you a few years, but that's the power of consistency, right? And probably the biggest mistake I made with my email marketing, actually I made 2 of them, which was I should have, just like how I did emails for the last 8 or 9 years daily, I should have been making daily videos. Because if I had done that, I mean, 9 years of making daily videos, that's a whole different, so that's probably one. And the second thing is I could have, should have, I don't like to live in regret mode, but a wiser choice would have been if those emails would have been turned into blog posts, and those blog posts would have been ranking for, you know, page 1 of Google, someone like what Neil Patel did. And so, you know, if I was advising someone, do you start a newsletter business because it's like the easiest, most profitable thing to do? You should, but integrate it with as many videos as possible, because the long-term effect will kick in after 2-3 years. And that's really powerful.
Well, that will be maybe your next 10 years to start doing that. But dude, that's just been an incredible amount of value and insights, and just awesome to connect and just.
No worries, man. You know, you had a profound impact. I know, like I said, it was you. There was that one lady. There was 2 guys from New York. Those were like my first insights. I don't even know how I came across your site. But I just remember thinking to myself, holy smokes, he looks young and he's free. I want to be free. You know, I want to be free. I should find that website, man. Find it. If you find it, send me a picture of it.
I will.
I'm sure it bring back memories. But, you know, I want to thank you for putting yourself out there 10 years ago, bro, because it's like, because of that, you know, not just because of that, but, you know, that was one opening which gave me hope in a world where I didn't have this hope of becoming this, you know, internet marketer, internet millionaire, whatever, you know, brand I've got out there. But before all of these things, it was just like me, you know, hanging out in my parents' house. And then I see you and I'm like, holy smokes, you know, he travels. And even till now, I would say, you know, it's had a huge, profound impact on my life. So thanks for putting yourself out there all those years ago, man. And everybody, you know, after this podcast, dude, if there's anything I can help you out with, like, I don't know, anything, just shoot me a message.
Well, I appreciate that, and we'll be in touch, and I'm sure that our paths will cross in this world at some point. If you're ever by Vancouver, or if I'm over out your way, I'll definitely, we'll connect and chat more. But guys, I'm going to have all the links for Shaq's stuff below. Obviously, you've heard that he's done it all. Like, I highly recommend getting on his list. He's got his podcast, follow him on social media, and yeah, anything sales funnels related, watch out for June 1st when he drops his new program. So, dude, I appreciate your time. That's a wrap for this podcast, and it's just been one of my favorite ones. So I appreciate you and everything that you do, and it goes back to saying that you inspired me as well. So it's been an honor, and we'll keep the conversation going offline here. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you on the next one. That's a wrap.
Thanks, bro.